Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to some of our Sangha online. Today we're having a Way-Seeking Mind talk, which is traditionally given by Sangha members who have received the precepts and Sona Rakusu. So today Fiona is going to tell us a little of the story of what brought her to practice. So I will put it over to you. I'm just going to turn the fan off in case that interrupts the sound. I think that one's okay. Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity. Way-Seeking Mind. How did I come to be here? What is my way-seeking mind? I was introduced to Neti by a couple of friends of mine who were moving house. They were moving from Canberra to Brisbane. And I was helping them move and anticipating grief in them leaving. And these friends had a rigorous practice and they would speak about it. I was aware that they each had a daily practice. And often I would express my wish to have a daily practice to these people who I shared time with in a creative arts group. And I think it was part of the alchemy of meeting Neti and them leaving that really galvanised my wish, the wish became action, and I joined the Sangha and I started a daily practice, and it didn't feel like it was a lot of effort, so I was attracted to their practice, and I came into the Sangha. Before coming into the Sangha, I had no orientation to the precepts. I was in a Reiki group, and I was invited to join by a friend, Alison, and she was a Reiki teacher. And Reiki is it's a hands-on healing practice that was developed in Japan by Dr. Usui. And Dr. Usui had this idea to bring the spiritual teaching, the teachings and the practices that were in the temple, how to bring them back into the home. And so his idea was how to bring healing back into the home and the practices. And Alison was really attracted to that idea. And she created a group in Canberra, and the practices were informed by Ehe Dogen's teaching. And as the group kind of developed, Alison became more and more interested in Ehe Dogen's teachings. And so each year for 5 years, Alison and I and another friend would go on retreat to a mountain retreat in Katoomba, and there would be 5 days. This was about 2012 to 2017, and there would be 5 days of practices, mostly sitting, but some other practices to do with movement and linking into some of the sutras and the Buddhist texts. Those 5 days were restorative, and I kind of followed Alison in that practice. I'm not sure how much I would have done if Alison hadn't been encouraging me. So I followed her into the retreats, and then she would talk on the way back from retreat. Now we're going back to Earth School, and this is where things are going to get difficult again. And so coming to that retreat each year was very special, very, very great opportunity. Jumping back to my birth, and so I, like the Buddha, I was born into privilege. Like, I was going to make a joke about being of noble birth, but yeah, so my parents wanted the best for me. They didn't want me to suffer, and they wanted me to get, to make my way in the world. And so I was given every opportunity for that. And however, I was a worried child, so I would say the rosary somewhat obsessively. So I can see this way-seeking mind in this practice. So I had this idea that the more you said of the rosary, the better the outcome might be. So I'd be praying for things that I wanted to happen or things that I didn't want to happen. And then a nun came to the church, and she had been on a mission in Africa, and she spoke about if you really wanted something for someone, if someone was suffering, there was a practice called a novena, which was to go to 9 masses. And she talked about you could have a daily practice of saying 10 rosaries, but if you wanted something for someone who was suffering, you could say 9. And so I got the idea, and it was very freeing to get the idea that I could say less rosaries, perhaps with more intention, and I let go of that idea that I had to say lots and lots of rosaries. I could choose to pray. I remember lying on the grass in the front of my parents' place and looking up at the clouds and getting absorbed in the clouds and feeling free. And and just a sense of being profoundly contented and comforted just in the moment. On leaving home, when I left home, I failed my parents' expectations. I disappointed them, and I let go of prayer, and I found myself in a world where I was afraid and somewhat impulsive and reckless and compulsive, and I ended up in a crisis. And this is where I started to seek desperately for some meaning and some comfort, and for the ease that I had known. So I looked to yoga, and I was practicing yoga. I bought a book on prana yoga, which is breathing, and I got a lot of comfort in starting a breathing practice. And there were 2 friends who really wanted to see me get through, Marcus and Dennis. Marcus was studying the spiritual teachings of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo, who were teaching and had an ashram in India. And so Marcus and I would talk about the teachings, and I got great comfort from some of the words and just the short phrases, the aphorisms of the Mother. And so I'll just share one with you now. So this was written in 1966. The Mother was born in 1778, and she lived till 1976. She was about 95 years old when she died. She wrote this in 1966, and it's just a very simple thing, and I think it's consistent with Zen. The best way of meeting difficulties is a quiet and calm confidence in the grace. So I somewhat with I guess with a sense that I could get some comfort from these things. I looked again somewhat obsessively into these teachings to get to derive some comfort, to get some meaning. And Marcus was also studying Krishnamurti, so I had a look at Krishnamurti, and I can remember waiting in the car, and I was reading the book, one of Krishnamurti's texts, and I realised that I could observe my thoughts. I learned I could observe my thoughts, and I think I might have understood that my thoughts are not me, and I felt freedom in that. Dennis was another friend who shared his spiritual way with me, and he had this idea, and he had learned about this idea called the blue pearl, and the blue pearl was something that you might see out of the corner of your eye. You might be visited by the blue pearl at any moment, and I did understand that even though I could visit or be in the hell realms or this kind of thing, that the blue pearl could come and I would be transported. So I got the idea that I could be guided, and the guidance might not come at any moment, but the guidance could be there at any moment. At that time, I was also interested in the I Ching. So I was looking for answers, and I had a translation of the I Ching, which was a feminist translation, and even though I kept looking for answers, I think what came through was, I was looking for divination. What will happen next? What will happen next? I don't know. Slowly, the idea that there is some ancient wisdom, that there are seasons, that there's a season of the maiden, the mother, and the crone, and that life, takes this course, seasons change. I think some of it started to sink in to how I was thinking. And at that time, it was many years ago now, I was a maiden, and now I'm a mother, and perhaps even a crone. I come back to the here and now. So I completed, I don't say completed, I had an opportunity to receive the precepts in this Sangha, and I did the Jukai ceremony, and I sewed a rakasu, and I joined the Full Moon Precepts group with Jack. Thank you, Jack. And I would like to say I applied myself more to the teachings during that opportunity. But I think, I think with respect to my way-seeking mind, it's really when I'm in trouble that I start to seek earnestly, and so it's been that way over the years, that when things have been difficult, seems to be when I deepen my practice and my commitment. And so, for example, in the Full Moon Precepts group, there was an opportunity to reflect on some of the texts and some reflective questions. For example, how do you express the value and appreciation you have for the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha in your actions? Do you take it for granted? And I really enjoyed the sewing of the rakasu. I found that on the weekends when I was sewing, I had a peaceful weekend. It seemed like that weekend was filled with ease and a sense of having a clear mind and peace. And what was unexpectedly rewarding for me is that that connection with the child, being a child. I did sewing when I was a child and teenager, and there was, I guess I can't quite put words to it now, but looking back, I'm wondering if when I look back at that child who was sewing, whether there was some expression of the way that even as a child, as a teen, I had the way-seeking mind, And so each stitch is an expression of the way. So I'd like to finish with a quote from the Song of the Trusting Mind. The way is perfect like vast space where nothing is lacking and nothing is extra.
Thank you, Fiona. So wonderful. I'm going to plug this microphone in so that people online can hear better. So let's just try that out. Would anyone like to ask a question or make a comment? For Fiona, we'll make sure that this microphone's working. Can you hear all right online at the moment? Can't hear very well?
I think it was much better prior to the adjustment.
Okay, all right. Oh, maybe that button wasn't. I'll just turn that. Oh no, it's on. All right. We'll just do it this way, and just people in Zendo could speak up. That would be good. I unplugged it.
That's great.
Francis.
So you tried a number of things before coming here, and I'm wondering, because my experience is a little bit similar, but I kind of tried lots of different things, but I found that this is it seems to be much more structure to it, and so I'm just wondering if that was kind of similar for you.
I was thinking about my motivation now to be more self-motivated, less following someone, and I think I am more genuinely interested in the text. There does seem to be something more coherent. I mean, certainly, there was some out there kind of things like the blue pearl. If you read about that, just it was a bit out there. It was a bit, So it's a curious question.
One more time, I'm gonna.
I know. It's the Australian thing, but
You have to go on mute, Scott.
oh shit.
It's an Australian thing.
Does it answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And if I reflect on my own experience, I think it was also necessary to try these things that are kind of, as you said, kind of out there as well, to sort of find what actually is suitable and good for yourself. Oh, that's my experience. Yeah. So I think trying lots of different stuff is good, isn't it? I think it's good to come to where you feel that, this is home, this is what I'm comfortable with, this really works for me.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really a question, it was well, I guess it was just, I was wondering if it was a similar experience, like if I watched what my experience was and the way I understood what you were saying.
I really appreciate that. This I do see myself being here, committing that this practice is much more a part of my everyday life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jack?
Thanks so much, Fee. It was lovely to find out a little bit more about your journey and the different influences on you. and the out there-ness or whatever. But I would just wanted to just ask you to say a bit more, if you can, about how you think the way-seeking mind manifested when you were really young, like maybe a teenager or a child or something. When you think about that, what occurs?
Thanks, Jack. I don't think that kind of obsessive worry was a way seeking. I don't think it was that. I think I had great teachers, so I think the being open to the teachings. When I was a child, I was in a Catholic school, and there was a reformation of the teachings. So there was a lot of excitement about, oh, we don't have to fear damnation anymore. Forgiveness is the thing, and that was very strong. Like, I had some beautiful Polish nuns, and there were, yeah, there was that sense of that, and that, yeah. I mean, I'd like to say there was kindness, but yeah, it's hard to know, really. I think I took a lot of that for granted. Yeah. I think when I was thinking about the talk, my father is quite a spiritual person, and he and his mother would pray on her knees every day. So I think that yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks, Jack. Tony.
Fiona, there's a phrase from T.S. Eliot that something like, "We'll never cease from journeying, and when we do, we'll come back to where we started and know it for the first time." You've done a lot of journeying. Do you relate to that phrase?
Oh, that's lovely, Tony. Yeah, that I was thinking to share this one time coming back from retreat. Alison and I stopped at a shop, like a curio shop, and there was some tiles from a Japanese like newspaper print, and she picked up one and it said "arrived," and she bought it for me. So so I wondered whether because Alison got a tattoo when she was 60, to kind of really formal, like make concrete her commitment to energy and the practices. Yeah, whether I would get a tattoo of "arrived." I think you're asking a deeper question about the journey, and perhaps an invitation to continue to be on that journey. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see if it resonated with you in any way, and how it resonated. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Could I add something?
Yeah.
One thing I like about that quote is, in a way, I feel like there's this wisdom that we always had from the very start, and then it gets lost in our life, and some of us get to rediscover it again. And in that sense, we actually just come back to the wisdom that we kind of already had as a child, where things were beautiful and we didn't worry about ourselves, and everything, we found things wondrous and interesting, and didn't see it always in relation to how we defined ourselves. It was just, look at that, that kind of wisdom gets rediscovered. And that's a kind of, we wander away and then we come home. And I think that's often why people think of practice as coming home, because it is actually coming home to something that we already always had. Yeah. Scott, nice to see you.
You too. Thanks for sharing that. Your Rakasu looks perfect and beautiful.
Thank you, Scott. It's got, even though my rakasu looks perfect, I did make a mistake and I have to fix the collar is not quite right, despite me being the best sewer in the group.
Indeed.
like what Tony offered last week. You are perfect, but there's room for improvement. You've just got to fix that strap.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Evgeny.
Just a quick one. When did you join the Zen group?
Oh, I joined maybe 3 years ago. The group was met out in Belconnen, and it was very beautiful. And so when I was helping my friends move, I met 2 other members of the Sangha, and we sat and had burgers together. It was lovely. So that, I think, about 3 years ago. Yeah, and that was I think my first opportunity to speak in the Sangha about how I got here, like what practices drew me to Buddhism. Thanks, Evgeny.
Just the next one, very quick one too. So how do you think it changes you, the Zen practice?
Oh, thanks.
How does it change you?
It's a good question. I think when I was seeking before, I wanted some peace and some ease, and even, more recently when I was oriented to the practices with my friend Alison. But I think today, I want that peace and ease, my day to go smoothly. But I'm thinking it also changes me in that I'm curious about how I can engage with my mind. And this won't be surprising to you, Evgeny, how I can do the practice and explore this mind and I guess and just live, I guess, live the kind of promise that the ancestors have provided. Just that, I mean, I try not to think of becoming fitter, stronger, and faster, because that's such a setup. And I've done that. But like the little koans, like, the little exchanges that people have. Like, I want to front up in the world and be able to have Dharma battles with people.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like a bit of a gaming idea.
Maybe a playful gaining idea.
So, sort of somewhat related to that question, Fiona, we talked about your practice being in the past trying to be fitter, faster, stronger, sort of thing. I suppose an aspect of Buddhism is the reverse. You let go of all these things, and that. What have you let go of?
Oh my goodness. Well, Tony, I became a grandmother, and I think letting go of some of the vanity around, not being a maiden, that was just such a big deal for me. Like, going from maiden to mother was such a big deal. Like, that's where my vanity was at. So I just don't let go easily, and I mean, I guess, but I mean, I've let go of certain things around. I get up in the morning for practice, and I try and get there in the evening. So I think the best thing is that structure in the day is there, and I let go of some of the choices around that. Like, I don't give myself choice. Yeah. Thanks, Tony.
Mark.
It's perhaps a recurring thought in my
Speak
sorry,
up.
recurring thought in my mind in relation to Jukai. But do you find now that you just the precepts are a lot more in your forethought rather than so something may occur and you know just pause for that split second and think, how does this said? Is it something that you find yourself doing that you're sort of almost referencing the precepts on a more than?
Well, I don't know, Mark. I know that when Nettie invited me to do the talk, I immediately wanted to do it. I had thought about it since I saw Sarah do her talk and Jack, and I think maybe, Mark, for me at the moment, it's after the event. Like I do want to, like I can pick up when my behaviour is not good, and I think it might be more after the event. It's like, I'm not sure I can get away with stomping around and being angry, and maybe I need to talk to that person. And I guess I hope that will come. Yeah.
All right, maybe well, thank you so much for your
Thank you
generosity.
so much.
And we'll just do our Bodhisattva vow chant and 3 bows. And then if we'll say an informal goodbye to those who are still online. Beings are numberless, I vow to save them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless, I vow to enter them. Buddha's ways unsurpassable, I vow to become it. Well, hi, Anna and Yi and Kai, you've just joined us. Is everyone in the Zendo? Nice to see you all.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's like a beautiful family portrait with you all there. And thank you so much, Fiona, for that sharing. That was very beautiful to hear your journey. Thank you.
All right, bye. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Fiona.